Bring in the Chief Medical Advisor to President Biden, Dr. Anthony Fauci. Dr. Fauci, thanks for joining us again this morning. What's the most important message for President Biden to deliver tonight?
Well, I think the important message is that we've come a very long way over this past year. It's been extraordinary, but there is light at the end of the tunnel. You just mentioned that right now in your piece. The fact that more and more, as every day goes by, more and more people get vaccinated, that is absolutely critical. That is going to be the answer to get us back to normality, a combination of a very, very aggressive implementation of the vaccine program, which you are actually seeing in real time, together with a continuation of public health measures and a gradual pulling back, as opposed to it just turning a light switch on and off. We've got to gradually and prudently pull back as we get closer and closer to normal.
Are we going too fast?
Well, the concern I have, George, is that if you look historically in the past when we have had baselines that have been pretty high, we now have about 50 to 60,000 new infections every day. That's a pretty high baseline. When you have that and you want to start pulling back towards normality, which we should be doing, it is much better to do that gradually and prudently instead of just saying, okay, all bets are off, do what you want to do. You've got to really be careful that you might trigger another surge, because that has happened in the past at least a couple of times over the past year.
We should have enough vaccines for every adult American by May. What's the biggest obstacle to actually getting those vaccines administered?
Well, one of them is vaccine hesitancy. We want to make sure that people who have concern about it, that we articulate to them why it's so important for them, their families, and the community in general to get vaccinated, because you want to get the overwhelming majority of people vaccinated. The logistics of getting it into people's arms are being addressed, I think, quite adequately with the community vaccine centers, with increased doses in pharmacies, with the mobile units that are going out, with the mobilization of vaccinators, people, for example, like retired physicians and nurses and healthcare providers that are being mobilized to get out there and get it into people's arms. So that is improving rapidly.
Could we encourage more people to get the vaccine if we emphasized the positive side? I mean, there's been some criticism of the CDC for not allowing people who've had the vaccine to travel.
Right. You have a good point there, George, and what the CDC will be doing, what they came out with when they were talking about in the home, a vaccinated person with a vaccinated person, or a vaccinated person and an unvaccinated, well, non-risk person. That's the first in the installment of a number of recommendations which will be rolling out really quite imminently, one after the other. So you will be seeing now guidelines from the CDC talking about just the things that you mentioned.
Variants are the big wild card right now, but are they turning out to be less dangerous than we feared?
Well, you always got to take them seriously. One of the positive aspects of it, George, is that, for example, the 117 variant, the one that was predominant in England that is now becoming more and more dominant in the United States, the vaccines that we're distributing right now do quite well against them. There are others that not so good, but they're not the dominant ones. We want to keep our eye on them, take them seriously, but I don't think they necessarily have to be a showstopper. The more people we vaccinated, the more quickly we vaccinate them, the less chance you give a variant to take hold. So that's another good reason why we should be getting vaccinated.
Finally, Dr. Fauci, you testified a year ago and warned everyone when you were before Congress that it was going to get worse. But did you ever imagine it would get this bad, that 2020 would be the deadliest year in American history?
No. No, George, I didn't. It was exactly 1 year ago this morning that I said things are going to get much worse before they get better, but I did not realize in my mind even anything close to more than 500,000 people having died in this country.
Dr. Fauci, thanks for your time and your information this morning.
Well, hey there, GMA fans. Robin Roberts here. Thanks for checking out our YouTube channel. Lots of great stuff here. So go on, click the subscribe button right over here to get more of awesome videos and content from GMA every day, anytime. We thank you for watching, and we'll see you in the morning on GMA.